The Red Wings dropped both their games over the weekend, but Tyler Bertuzzi continues to be one of the best left wingers in hockey.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty can also be found at Locked On Tigers. We're on Twitter. I'm at Brian Fisher 971. He's at Bentley Scotty. And Scotty, 145 subscribers, buddy. YouTube is popping off.
Big time.
Yeah, you can find us on YouTube or pretty much anywhere else because we're free and available on all platforms. And we want to thank you guys for making us your first listen every single day, the Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, Red Wings lost both their games this weekend, buddy.
You got a point.
No, don't come to me with that loser point.
The optimist.
Yes.
It's the optimist.
No.
No, so here's my thing.
Losses don't exist.
So here's my thing. Yes, they lost both. Absolutely. My thing is right after the game Saturday, I was pretty disappointed until you tweeted your tweet. Then it made me a little bit more excited and a little happier again.
I don't know what tweet you're referring to. I can't remember that night much.
Yeah, for sure. I've only quote tweeted it 5 times. I was pretty disappointed. I was like, man, like the optimism for the postseason is pretty much gone. I'd say that's pretty safe to say, given the amount of points back we are from Boston, and then they still have several games on us. On top of that, I think that's pretty much dissipated. But then at like 2:00 in the morning, I was like, you know what, man? If you would have told me in August that Bertuzzi, Larkin, Raymond, Seider, and Ned were having the seasons that they were having, and that the team was exactly where they are now, I would be thrilled.
Jumping for joy.
And I am thrilled. And I think it's important to separate disappointments in right after the Nashville game, just being like, damn, like we could have done this and this and this better, and we'll get into all that kind of stuff for sure. But I think as an outlook as a whole, it's just important to remember, like, given where we were coming into the season and given where a lot of people kind of expected this team to be this year and what we expected this team to be this year in terms of production level and points as a team, this is still a major step forward in the right direction and setting us up beautifully for this offseason and next year.
Yeah, and I mean, we've said it so many times, Scotty, that coming into this year, we didn't expect this team to make the playoffs. We were expecting a step in the right direction, and the team has taken a massive step in the right direction, thanks at large to the rookies who have joined this hockey team and have become huge contributors. But Larkin immediately became also the player we were expecting him. Tyler Bertuzzi, I think, has exceeded expectations in his own right. We knew he was a gritty left winger who could score 20 goals, but he's, and we'll get into it later, but he's in elite territory with his production right now this season. So there's definitely, if you want to try and minimize your disappointment from this past weekend, because it always stings when your team loses games.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have been flirting with the playoffs since this season has started. They're still not out of it, although, like you said, Scotty, 4 games in hand for Boston still, and they're 8 points up now on that second wild card. They're starting to run away with it, and you expect them to continue to run away with it. But this team's not going to quit. They're not going to stop trying. And I think both these games this weekend, while they lost both of them, one more convincingly than the other, there were good takeaways, plenty of bad, but there were good takeaways in those games. And that's kind of what we're looking for this season from the Detroit Red Wings, are the good takeaways. And I think that Dallas game, the one at home on Friday night, the first in that back-to-back, especially was where we had the best of the best takeaways. I mean, we had an excellent. That Robbie Fabbri goal was a beauty. The Dylan Larkin end-to-end goal was making its rounds on social media, where he just absolutely undressed Heiskanen in the defensive zone, one of the up-and-coming best defensemen, for a beautiful goal. Was it Pew Suter had a goal as well? The whole Guelph Storm line was just absolutely popping off. And that game was
that was a massive letdown, man.
It was
the end
letdown.
of that, the last. I mean, that was. I took that one harder than I took Nashville. I didn't go into Nashville expecting to win. Ned on the second game of a back-to-back after he had struggled against Dallas. Nashville's just comfortably a better hockey team, top to bottom, better roster than we currently are. And after the Dallas game, that's a very pessimistic view of, okay, well, we're going to go in and lose to Nashville now. We really needed to win against Dallas if we wanted to get out of the weekend with a couple of points. And so, yeah. And again, like what I said at the beginning, I'm not trying to minimize or take away from
it still stings, but
right. It absolutely still stings. But a couple hours after the game, that was my coping mechanism, I guess you would say. That was how I coped with the rough weekend. Is I was like, you know what, man, this is still far better at whatever day it is, January 24th. I'm still. If you would have told me on January 24th this would be the position of the team, I'd be pretty ecstatic.
Yeah, you're dealing with some copium right now.
Yes, good old copium.
Good old copium. Yeah, there were that first game against Dallas in particular too, and it's been hard. I haven't been able to say this much this season. And the overtime, the things leading up to overtime is another thing, but Ned did not look that good, and I've lost track to how many consecutive starts he's made now. It's like his fourth, maybe his fifth.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
But he didn't look sharp. He had two sharp angled goals from like the goal line that he let in. One just went under his pad, though he was on the ice. I don't know how that one went through. It just not his best game. So there were two really weak goals that led to overtime. He allowed a goal with like a minute left, although that's not on him, as his teammates failed to clear the puck. And then the overtime goal was a missed assignment from Danny DeKaiser out in front. For some reason, DeKaiser's out on the ice during a penalty kill in overtime. I don't know. But yeah, that one stung. I thought that was the better of the two. I thought the Red Wings hung with and even at points played better than. Like the second period and the first half of the third, I thought they played better than the Dallas Stars. And then
I thought they outplayed the Stars.
Yeah.
I'll say the whole game. I thought they were the better team. I truly do. It was literally just a couple of mishaps from Ned, and I'm not going to give him any heat for it because it's been the opposite so many times that I think he deserves. He has earned the right to have an off night where the rest of the team is really good, because for so many nights this year, it has been poor performance by everybody else, and Ned has kept us in a game. So that flipping for a night, I'm not going to lose my head over it.
And he rebounded pretty nicely in the game after that. And I mean, I'm calling a spade a spade. He didn't play well that game, but am I going to be like down on him? No, because like you said, he's been clutch this entire season. But Tyler Bertuzzi was fantastic in that game. I think before the third period had started, they said that he had 13 points in 9 games because he had 2 assists at that point, scored another goal, and then the Nashville game had another assist. So now he's at 15? No, sorry, that math doesn't make any sense, right? No, does it? 15 points in 10 games. Sorry, it's late at night, guys. 15 points in 10 games.
It's 15 in his last 10, yeah.
He's been absolutely insane. It's just, you're focusing on those positive takeaways from that hockey game.
There are still quite a bit from both.
Yeah, there are a couple. I mean, hey, we'll get into it in a second. But
yeah, maybe not quite a bit, but there are a couple, yeah.
There's a couple nice little things. Just like Built Bar. Built Bar's got a couple nice little flavors for you. Salted caramel, raspberry, Scotty, peanut butter brownie, cookies and cream. So, it's New Year's. Time for New Year's resolutions. If yours is about getting fit or eating healthier, make sure you get Built Bar in your plan. Those flavors included. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, maybe even better than a candy bar. It makes it easy to stick to your resolution because it tastes so good you'll want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky, waxy, or taste like a chemical spill. You want to eat healthy, but it just gets so boring. By like week 3, you might be thinking, this is just not worth it. Where is the chocolate? Built Bars are covered in 100% real chocolate with 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. You compare that to a candy bar, there's like 240 calories in those, 30 grams of sugar, and dozens of net carbs. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. All right, Scotty, we've kind of been talking about both, mostly focusing on Dallas that first game, so let's kind of focus on Nashville now in this segment here. Worst game. Still pretty even through the first half, I would say. I think the Wings even led in shots after the first period, like 9-7. But then the Predators got on the board first on a power play. You can't – Red Wings just have to stop taking penalties. They took 3 consecutive penalties in the second period. Joe Veleno, Adam Ernie, then Tyler Bertuzzi, eventually leading to the first goal by the Predators. Then they got their next goal like a minute and a half later. Just that immediately just spelled doom for the rest of the game. Nashville Predators kind of took over that game from there on out. There were moments in that game where Nashville was basically setting up a power play in our defensive zone during even strength. So that first half of the game was pretty even, but the second half, Nashville kind of just took over. And despite the statistics, the stat line, Nedeljkovic making his second consecutive start in a back-to-back, which caught me off guard. I figured even though like Calvin Pickard is the backup, after how many consecutive starts he's made on the second half of back-to-back, it'd go somebody other than Nedeljkovic for sure.
I was shocked. I mean, we talked about it as if we didn't even consider it as a possibility. Right. We didn't even talk about like there being a chance of that happening.
Yeah, but then, I mean, that just shows, and you said it before the show, Nedeljkovic is he's a starter now. Like, he is going to be getting the bulk of the workload. And
which I'm for.
Yeah, I'm for too. And he had again, despite the stat line, he played great. If you go back, I had to go back and watch the highlights, guys, because I don't remember much from that game. There was a tweet that went out. You'll understand if you go see that tweet.
By the way, is it just on my end, or is the graphic for your name? Are you just trying to like one up me? Because on my screen, the graphic for your name is significantly larger than mine.
No, I have no graphic up on mine.
Okay. There is on mine the Locked On Red Wings podcast logo, and then Brian Fisher 971 is like 3 times the size of mine right next to it under your screen.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, it's gone now.
Okay, I turned it on and turned it off real quick.
Oh, well,
that's really.
I was like, wow, Brian's just like trying
you thought
to
it was
be
big
like,
time
hey,
to
I'm
this entire
Brian.
episode.
Yeah, for real, man. Jeez. No, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like we went 0 for 5 on the power play again. That's tough.
Can't be doing that.
It's tough. You're not going to win. The power play is something we've talked about a lot. We had a whole episode dedicated to it. It's clearly, this is not news to anyone, how big of an issue and how important of a need it is to get the power play not being atrocious again. But they went 1 for 3 on their power play. They went 1 for 3. We went 0 for 5.
Yeah, there's also a couple moments too where the defense just abandoned the assignments in front of the net altogether. There was one goal in particular, I remember, I think it was DeKaiser and Hronik out there. I'm trying to remember the pair. It might have been Leddy and Hronik at that time. I mean, that is the pair that they normally trot out there. But both of them began to like break out of the zone before the puck came out, leaving a guy alone in front of the net, no protection. And he just screened net. And that's where a lot of their goals came, were through screens in this game. The defense has not been challenging the forwards in front of the net and trying to clear the lanes for Nedeljkovic.
There was one in the Stars game too. That was pretty clear
egregious,
screen.
Yeah. And so that's something that the defense has just been lacking all season long. We've talked about how the defense is one of the biggest issues this team has. I mean, outside of Moritz Seider and Phil Hronik on like
shallow. It's shallow, man. Like it's not even. And like I wouldn't even use the word like bad. Like it's not that all the other players and all the other dudes on that defensive group are just like terrible. It's just there's no depth. I mean, it's Like we're pairing Moritz Seider with Danny DeKeyser. Like there is no depth, and that is the reason that Danny DeKeyser is playing first line D minutes still is because there is no depth. That's because they have to be like, okay, well, if we put anyone else up there, then we're going to have one good line and then just be Garbo on every other pairing. So, like, we're kind of forced. We talked about that earlier in the season, too. We're kind of forced to put DeKeyser up at top D pairing just to just so that the other two defensive pairings could be somewhat feasible.
Yeah, and Moritz Seider he had a nice reverse hit again. He loves those. But he even got burned on the Philip Forsberg goal. Matthew Shane burned him on the outside pretty badly before sending it back out in front for Philip Forsberg to follow the job. So just all around defense was not the best in that game. But there really wasn't help anywhere. Like I said, once that first goal happened, it seemed like the floodgates had opened. Tyler Bertuzzi did net himself another assist on hitting Adam Ernie coming out of the box for another one of those breakaway goals. Didn't he get the assist on the Michael Rasmussen goal last week? Michael Rasmussen came out of the box too?
Yes.
So it's pretty telling when most of your offense coming off of. In this past few weeks, it's either been shorthanded goals or fresh out of the box goals. So the Red Wings are taking a lot of penalties, and their penalty kill is bigger threat than their power play. It's a very telling situation for them. And that was Adam Ernie's first goal, and I don't know how long, his fourth of the season. It's been a minute. But again, the saving grace in that hockey game that made it watchable was Nedeljkovic, and I will continue to stress. I mean, again, second half of the back-to-back, he had to have been exhausted. He just came off a bad game. Don't look at the stat line. You go back and you watch those highlights. So many of the highlights in that condensed video was just Nedeljkovic coming up big and making saves and keeping that game close. Mm-hmm. He just continues to be such a crucial part of this team going forward, and
I can't wait to give I can't wait to give that dude a defense, man. I cannot wait to give him a defense.
Well, you got another one coming next year. I'm telling you,
yes,
Simon Edwards is making this team out of training camp. I'm telling you.
I'm about it.
Too. Don't sleep on him.
I'm all about it. How about that Bert fight? That was weird. That was like the most like I don't know. Most fights are really like all at once, kind of like they stand and grab jerseys for a little bit, and then there's a lot of punching traded for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, and then the fight's over. This one was like 30 seconds long, and it was like hit, stand. Hit, stand. Now we're just going to stare at each other for a little bit. And then, right, it was really weird. Technically, Bert landed on top. That's all I'm going to say.
Technically. They're a little confused, but they got the spirit.
Yeah. I'm all about Bert fighting.
You know who else has the spirit, Scotty?
BetOnline.ag.
BetOnline.ag. Scotty knows. They'd like to wish you a happy betting new year as they continue their march through the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. And let me tell you, Scotty, if you're a fan of betting on NFL football games, you had a hell of a weekend. 4 game-winning drives. Every single playoff game ended in a game-winning drive at the very end.
Craziness. What a weekend, man.
Was it 3 walk-off field goals and an overtime touchdown?
Put some respect on Matthew Stafford's effing name.
Oh, don't worry. The goalposts are going to be moved again. The goalposts are getting moved again. Not unless he wins an NFC champion. Not unless he wins a Super Bowl.
He'll just keep hitting it then.
Yeah.
Who even cares? He's with a competent organization. He's gonna keep hitting it now.
Well, that's the excuse now.
Now
he's on a stacked team. And golf took them to the Super Bowl. Anyone could have done it. Like, all right, dude, chill out.
God.
New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code LOCKDOWN to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline. BetOnline. Where the game starts. It's called pausing for effect, Scotty.
So ridiculous.
Gotta have fun.
Unbelievable.
I was leaving them in suspense on the edge of their seat.
You certainly did that. Yes, sir. I saw you staring at the camera. I was like, what the hell's he doing?
It was all in due time. All right, Scotty. Before we talk about our Tyler Bertuzzi conversation we wanted to have, got to mention Jamel Smith did get sent down the AHL for conditioning. He was coming off injury. We talked about it. That was always probably what was going to happen because he's been a career AHLer his entire time. Now, I do hope at some point he gets called up to be.
I think he will.
I think you will, especially with the depth issues this team has and injury issues they're going.
Especially with center depth, especially with injuries, and especially after the trade deadline. He will play games in a wing wheel.
Yeah, and he'll play with his brother, and it'll be amazing.
And I will cry.
You will cry. Oh, number 64, by the way. Did you see that?
Really?
Yeah, he in the press conference, he was wearing like a track jacket already. Like they already got him one, and he said 64 because he wore 46 with Tampa.
46, 64. Cool. Good for him, man. I hope he's up sooner rather than later. They had a cool little thing on Bally where they had the two of them and talking about like, you know, in the pregame show about like what it meant to play with each other and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, for real. Like they will though. And
at some point.
I think the funniest line was they asked him like, "Oh, like once you're in town, like are you gonna live with Giovanni?" And he and Jamel goes, "Absolutely not." He goes, "Why?" They went wide. He goes, "We had bunk beds growing up. I've got enough living with him in my life done for. I'm never living with him again."
Absolutely not.
So funny.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah. He goes, "Absolutely not. We had bunk beds growing up. I'm good."
That's great. Tyler Bertuzzi, who I mentioned earlier and I mentioned several times earlier, is on an absolute tear right now. After going, 11 games without scoring a goal, he's got 15 points in 10 games. Yeah, the question is starting to scratch the back of my head, Scotty. Is he an elite left winger in this hockey league? Because, and I before you got to give you a little bit of deep context. He's currently 14th in points among all left wingers, and I believe he is 7th in goals among all left wingers. That is elite territory considering who's around him. When you look at goals, only Forsberg, Marchand, Kyle Connor, Gensel, Meyer, Tyler, Meyer, DeBrincat, Kreider, and Ovechkin are above him. And then when you look at total points, again, it's the same guys and some other guys in there. Huberdeau, Kaprizov, Goudreau, guys like that. He's surrounded by nothing but elite players. So at what point do we start considering Tyler Bertuzzi an elite left winger in this league, considering the pace that he's putting up points? And for the most part, he's doing it in less games than a lot of these players are. He's played 34 games where the league's across 42 now at this point.
Yeah, and you know, now he's doing it on a second line.
Yeah.
And he's still producing. And like you said, 15 in his last 10, which is obviously an unbelievable clip. And the last 4 have been on the second line?
Yeah, 4 games now, I believe you're right. On the second line, playing 4? With the Guelph Storm line with Pius Suter and Robbie Fabbri, which, by the way, and this counts as Tyler Bertuzzi talk because this is part of the greater Tyler Bertuzzi conversation. That second line has looked amazing.
Because of Bert. Did it look amazing before?
No. Well, I mean, also, Zadina was on the line. Hey-o, bring that into the stir the pot. Hey. No, but I don't know if there is like some secret chemistry that they've had that they've been hiding all this time, or if it's just strictly because Bert's on that line. But that second line's producing. Robbie Fabbri's goal against Dallas, again, fed by Tyler Bertuzzi.
Bro.
He juked Holtby out of his jock strap. It was hanging from the ceiling. Pius Suter had a goal too. Again, facilitated by Bertuzzi again. Pius Suter was Bertuzzi broke into the zone. Pius Suter was coming across behind him. When he was breaking in the zone, he saw him coming, gave a no-look pass behind him to Pius Suter, who just rifled it from the top of the slot, past Braden Holtby. So both goals in the Dallas game by the second line were assisted by Tyler Bertuzzi. Then he had a goal himself. It was meant to be a pass across the Larkin on the power play. Went off Hintz's, I believe, pad into the net. Just he facilitates goals no matter where he's at. And I'm sure the teammates he's got with him on the second line are helping. But, I mean, he's been the primary facilitator of all these goals. I mean, his goal was meant to be a pass. He's facilitating his own goals at this point, too. It's like...
he's the dog.
Yeah, he's the dog.
And so, like, moving him down to the second line, we talked about it and what that would mean for the production of that line. And it's... the value in that is indescribable. Like it's unbelievable how valuable it is to go from like an elite first line to now a still very good first line producing at a great clip, and now having a really, really good second line that's producing at a damn good clip too. Just by moving him down, and his minutes haven't really been like huge. Like he still played 20 minutes against Nashville, and he's still getting power play minutes and stuff. So it's just awesome. And it's something that doesn't, because he's still getting those special team minutes, it's not something that I would imagine would have like an issue with, like he's still getting his time. He's just not playing with Larks anymore. Like I can't imagine that's a big issue for him either, because the playing time isn't affected. And it's awesome, man.
He's currently on pace for 87 points this season, which is, again, elite territory to be in. Once you get north of that 80-point marker, a lot of people think like 90 and 100 points, but like the top of the
once you're over a point a game.
Yeah. And so once you get north of 80 points, you're one of the elite forwards in the league. And Tyler Bertuzzi is pacing to be at 87 points right now. He has been absolutely phenomenal, and I think that we don't overlook him. It's kind of like with the Larkin conversation we had the other day. We kind of overlook him, not here in local media, but national media, because of the fact that Raymond, Seider, and Nedeljkovic have been taking all the attention. Bertuzzi has been more productive than guys like Lucas Raymond, and just as productive, who, by the way, Lucas Raymond is still getting points. He got an assist in that Dallas Stars game, still leads all rookies in scoring. So even though he's not scoring goals, he's still getting points in his own right. But Tyler Bertuzzi is up there in points. I think overall he's tied 15th in goals in the NHL. Larkin's also tied 15th. They got 19 together. I mean, he is up there, but I think national hockey media at least, doesn't recognize him because of his style of play isn't as flashy as others are. And the fact that he's overshadowed by the other excellent players. Like, he wasn't even nominated for the All-Star game. Seider, Raymond, and Larkin were nominated, despite the fact that Bertuzzi is producing just as much. No, correction, producing more than those players are at this moment. He has been one of the most lethal players on this team's offense all season long. It's almost like national media hasn't noticed that yet. And I think, and I'm going to say it, I said it like with Larkin the other day, this league's going to be put on notice here in a couple of years. It's just, he's been that good.
And here's your full circle moment, Brian.
Oh boy.
Going into next season, if you can look at this roster and say you have two players that had over point a game seasons last year, and all three rookies obviously coming back. Add Edvinsson, add a free agent or two, add a good offseason. That's pretty damn exciting. To have two players going in next year of over a point a game plus the three rookies, it's a hell of a core going forward, especially when those dudes averaging a point a game aren't that old either.
You could actually probably say that next season is where the game's going to start.
That I have been saying for probably 2 years now. I think that's been my personal marker is 2022, 2023. That's the season that playoffs should be the expectation. And
this is what we're talking about, Scotty. The Wings lost 2 games this weekend, yet we're still capable of finding the positives in it. We can still look at Tyler Bertuzzi having an effective weekend and go, this team is heading in the right direction. They lost 2 games, and we're still looking at it going, this team's going in the right direction. That's how
they
promising.
Objectively, they are.
Objectively are.
Yeah.
Like, not even the losses that kill us are the ones where they get just destroyed, Or they
And those
lose
are
to the
becoming
Coyotes.
a lot. Yeah, right. And those are becoming a lot fewer and further between.
A lot further and fewer between. Obviously, we had one a couple weeks ago against the Kings, but when was the last time before that? I mean, it's like months in between them now. They're in every game this season for the most part, and we couldn't say that last year, the year before that. It's only trending upwards. Like, we're going to continue to find good things in games until the good things in the games are just them winning the hockey games. Like,
Damn right.
they're just heading in the right direction. It's wonderful.
It's beautiful.
Just like you, Scotty. You're beautiful.
Beautiful.
You're beautiful. Just like my best friend Jaff.
Jaff.
Want to thank you guys for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On Bets your daily one-stop shop for all your gambling needs. Locked On Bets, hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available on all platforms. Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball.
We ball. On Go Stafford.
9 God.
We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.